I've just quit my job as a waiter to make my full-time living from music. I only have $1,000 left in my bank account, and my rent is $700. I'm trying to decide whether to spend the last of that money on an online course or food. The whole time, I'm just hoping that I make enough money from my studio that I don't have to go back to my job waiting tables.
Ooh, let's go.
12 years ago, I quit my career in advertising to focus completely on something that I was passionate about: music. For the first time in my life, I'm writing and singing songs. There's just one problem. I have no idea how to sing. So I ask around and I find a vocal coach. Over the course of a few months, I expand my range and I learn that singing isn't just magic. There are actual things, there are actual exercises that you can do to improve your singing voice. But San Francisco is an incredibly expensive city, and while there's a very, very rich music history there, it's really difficult to find paying gigs. After a year of waiting tables with a 4-year college degree and playing every coffee shop and dive bar that I can, I decide to visit Austin, Texas. My visit is awesome. I make a friend named Brett Randell, and Brett tells me that he's actually taking vocal lessons too, that he's on this same musical journey that I am. For the first time, I feel like I'm not alone. And not only that, but Brett is actually making his full-time living playing music. I mean, he may be just scraping by, but he's doing it. So I decide, if he can do it, so can I. And I decide to move down. But even though I'm now in Austin and the cost of living is so much cheaper, it's not like paying gigs are just like growing on trees. I mean, Brett has been working on making connections in the Austin scene for years to get some of those prized paying gigs. I decide to go back to waiting tables while I keep writing songs and keep working on improving my voice. Brett hooks me up with his vocal coach, Gene, who is an absolutely amazing teacher. But I only started my vocal journey a few months ago in San Francisco, and Gene is telling me that it may take a couple of years to get my voice to a professional level. The entire time that I'm working with Gene, I'm still waiting tables, and it takes me a couple of years to expand my range by over an octave. During one unforgettable lesson, my voice keeps breaking, and in a moment of frustration, I tell Gene my worst fear, that I'll never be good enough to be a singer in a band. That's when Gene says, "There are 1,000 bands in Austin. You're good enough to sing for one of them." At first, I took this as like a little bit of a backhanded compliment, like, "You're pretty bad, but somebody will take you." But after a while, I take his compliment to heart. Gene thinks I'm good enough. Maybe I'm good enough. I can't tell you how important even these small bits of encouragement are in helping you get the fuel to continue pursuing your dreams. It makes you feel like you're on the right track. So I decide to start some more bands. One of them is a folk group with a couple of my best friends. The other is a soul pop group with a lawyer and a software guy. Neither of these bands get much traction, but I'm still taking lessons the entire time. Eventually one day, Gene gives me a vocal exercise. It was an octave and a half ooh. Ooh. Before I start singing it, I ask him, "You're giving me that exercise because you want me to get into my head voice, right?" He says, "Exactly." When I finish the exercise, he says something that I'll never forget.
"You just figured out what I was doing. Why don't you try teaching this?"
But I don't want to be a vocal coach. I want to be on a tour bus, recording music, playing gigs, scoring super hot chicks. But again, because of the power of a vocal coach's words, I decide to give it a try and decide to start teaching some of my friends for free. And these lessons are absolutely terrible. But even though I'm just getting started, I realize that I absolutely love coaching people. There's something about the mystery of helping someone discover their voice that's absolutely intoxicating. But I still have no idea what I'm doing as a coach, and I'm still waiting tables full time. Finally, after enrolling in a teacher training certification program and building up my studio really slowly, I decide to finally make the switch. The summer that I quit my job waiting tables is the worst dry spell for students that I've ever had as a coach. I quit my job waiting tables with $1,000 left in my bank account, and my rent is $700. But rather than caving and going back to waiting tables, I decide to invest that money into building my business. I start a website and a YouTube channel. I use the success of my site to get more clients, and there's kind of a ripple effect. My students are improving their voices and they're feeling way more confident. So they're telling other people about the lessons in my coaching and the business starts growing like crazy. There are so many times in the journey to find work that you love that you feel like quitting. And even though I absolutely love coaching today, I was positive that I didn't want to do it when it was first suggested to me. But I stayed open to the idea, and what I found was that I love my job. I didn't abandon my dreams. I still work with music full time. But unlike before, my job also feeds me. This passion that you find by following your dreams is the only way that you're going to make it through all the ups and downs and the highs and lows of building a career that you love. It's going to take superhuman strength that you may not even realize you have. And the turns that you take may surprise you, but eventually you'll find your way. Now I want to hear from you. What is your dream, and what are the biggest obstacles that are standing in your way? Go ahead and tell me in the comments below.